Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Thank you for taking time to cruise in for Car Club Talk with Robert, Randy, and Dana. And welcome to our home in the Lone Star Community Radio Studios, housed here in Conroe Tower and the county where the official flag of the Lone Star State was born. I'm Randy Weldon along with Dana Pritchard and what was the other guy's name?
Robert.
Robert, the guy that likes to abuse that. He abuses that four-letter word like constantly.
I think he loves to work.
Yeah, that's the word. Work. I don't know what's wrong with him. All you got to do, Robert, is say no.
That's
no.
Okay. We miss you anyway, Robert.
Yes, we do. Come on back in the studio, man.
In spirit.
Hey, I got to tell you, we've also got sequestered back in the safe room / sound booth our sound engineer and producer, Dick Schischler. And he's back there managing all this audio and video for us. We are broadcasting from the Lone Star Community Radio Studio on 104.5 and 106.1 FM and streaming worldwide at irlonestar.com, YouTube, and Facebook. And to get specifically to our show, you would go to irlonestar.com/CCCT. So, Dana, today we've got a few things going. We've got a guest that's coming in the studio. We've got one that's going to zoom in from New York. But I missed this past week's TWCC Coffee and Cars for a Cause. Is it? It's Cars and Coffee. Cars and Coffee.
Always cars before coffee, Randy.
Well, you had to get
okay.
you got to get in your car to go get your coffee,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yes. Okay,
So,
I'll remember that.
Okay. We're not as passionate about coffee as we are cars, so just think of it like that.
I got to admit, I slept 11 hours and 2 minutes from Saturday night to Sunday, so I just overslept.
Well, you needed it. You've been working like a dog.
It's you know what, business. My business is good. I have no complaints there. So I'm sorry for missing. But what happened?
No, we missed you. We missed you and Robert. But we had a really nice turnout. It was freezing cold. Some people said very windy. Everything was blowing off our table. But we had a really nice turnout. There was some new people that came out, and of course our regulars. And we appreciate everybody's generous donations. New Danville was out there. Our second quarter charity. Hands of Justice was out there with us too, and we just had a really nice time. We had Naomi volunteering with us up front, and also Ginger Harris. She's a close friend of mine who came out to volunteer as well. We had a lot of student photographers out there from the high school and middle school. And we had the Woodlands High School Automotive Group out there as well. So we had and Hot Wheels. I mean, it was nice.
Hot Wheels. Yeah, what's that gentleman's name?
Yeah, the Hot Wheels. And you've just put
I
me
know
on the spot.
his name.
You just put me on the spot.
I know your name, man. I promise.
Sorry.
No, any other time I'd know his name. But no, so I also, you had that ride with somebody dude out there. What was his? He's got that car service. Ride with somebody.
The ride with somebody.
Stephen Adair.
Arrive with Adair.
Yeah, he came out in his.
He graced us with his presence, him
he
and
had
Danielle.
Bentley or whatever out there.
The
he and
beautiful
Danielle.
Bentley.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of events going on that day, but they made time to stop by, say hello, make a donation, and we appreciate their support. And also, they're having their event coming this Saturday night too, 5 to 7.
That's at Nacho Padres.
Nacho Padres
yeah.
off of Rayford Road.
Down on Rayford, yep.
So
right in front of the Kroger.
Get some nachos, margaritas, and meet some new friends, show your car off.
It's good food. Good food.
People, too.
So what else was going on your calendar?
Yeah, so I wanted to just briefly mention, there's a lot of small mom and pop shops that, don't have big advertising dollars to be out there or actually go to car shows. These people have been around for 20, 30, 40 years, and they just concentrate on their small mom and pop business. And I've worked with so many of them for so long over the years with my business, with Woodlands Performance. And I still continue to work with them for referrals. People are always still asking me, where do I go for this? Where do I go for that? So I've built these strong relationships with these automotive facilities that I'd like to just mention just a few of them. One of them is, if you have a classic car or even a newer car, and, you need some, in your dash, if you need gauges, need to be rewired, or your clock goes out, in the older classic cars when they still had clocks. the regular clocks with the arms. If that goes out, or if you need recalibration on your speedometer, they do so much electrical as it relates to your dash and your car. It's called United Speedometer and Electrical, and then they're off of Bingle. They've been around for 40 years.
Oh, they're over in Spring Branch.
Yeah, is it?
Bingle Road?
Yeah, Bingle Road in Houston, that's right. Albert and his wife, Marcia, have just been great customer service, really nice to deal with. And again, it's small. They don't advertise, but they do really good work, and they want you to, not have to necessarily buy all these, gauge clusters. So they want to be able to inspect them and repair them, and it's very tedious work, but it gets the job done because, you're saved. Your car is saved. I know we had a lot of classic cars when we were doing those, builds, and we would just ship them, send them the gauge cluster, and it'd be just like brand new. Refurbish them, get them working again, good as new. So
that's the name of the company, Gauge Cluster?
it's United Speedometer and
United
Electrical.
Speedometer and
Yep.
Electrical.
Yep, and the next place is, I don't know if anybody,
Wait a minute, how long has United Speedometer and Electrical been around?
since the 80s.
Okay.
Since the late 80s. So and
Since
same
that time you
location,
were born.
too. Yeah. Yeah, but I just thought, it's nice to see that these mom and pop shops have survived all these years. Through all the changes, all the technology, and here they are still providing services, keeping up with the times with the newer cars instead of having to go to the dealership. Let them do their diagnostic first. If you have any electrical glitches or gremlins in your car, give them a shout first. So, but United Speedometer and Electrical. The other place is, if you're needing any gears, everybody has to have rear end,
Yep.
work done at some point.
I need the differential checked in my pick-em-up truck. It's about time.
Yeah, and transfer case rebuilds, anything related to gears, whether it's classic cars, Jeeps, not so much the newer cars aren't needing that, but just the old school stuff. This guy's been around again for 40 years. He moved to actually Magnolia, and I have here 1982. He's been around.
He's been there when there was nothing but trees.
Yeah, well, in 1982 he opened, and then he moved to Magnolia, I think in 2012. Yeah, that's what I have. 2012. His name is David Yackley from Texas Auto Gear. And one thing that I've learned about these old school shops is when it's especially mom and pop and they've been around forever, they really don't have time for baloney. They just want to provide the best customer service, but they don't have 19 salespeople working for them. They're not going to get you quick in and out. They usually, have a lot of customers. They have a lot of vehicles that they're tending to. So, tell them what you're needing, and, they'll put you on the list and they'll get to it. But they do good work. And with these two companies specifically, and you can never really trust Google reviews anyway, because sometimes you don't know if it's a fake review or anything like that. But all I know is that with this shop from Texas Auto Gear, David, he's always done right by me and my customers.
Yeah, you talk about those reviews. I'm on a Woodlands Foodies Facebook page thing.
Oh, Nick.
There's a couple of them, and I'm on them both,
Yeah.
or the few of them. But I watch some of these reviews that people put up, whether it be a Google review or whatever, or some of the reviews on that page. And I'm like, I've been to this restaurant. I know the owners of these places. And you're really slanting this, I don't comment back because it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Just let them post whatever they're going to post and know the truth.
It's the age of the internet, but there's always two sides to every story.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, give people a chance. If you say you were referred by somebody, that helps. And it's how the customer approaches the shop owner as well. Ask what the realistic expectations are and how they conduct their
Well, wait a minute.
procedures.
Before you get into that, you were talking about that second shop, and what was the name of it again with the differentials?
Yes, that was Texas Auto Gear. They're located in Magnolia. David Yackley is the owner. And, he's been around a long time. He's an old school guy, no BS. Tell him what you're needing, and he'll put you on the list.
Texas Auto Gear.
Texas Auto Gear.
But what you're saying is he'll take his time, he'll do it right.
Take his time, do it right. But, you have to be realistic. Because a lot of people think, oh, yeah, I'm going to bring you this, and, it's going to be cut and dry. A lot of times these internal components that, parts have to be ordered, people don't understand, especially the times we've been in since COVID, a lot of these internal parts, depending on how available they are or how rare the part may be, it may take months to get in these certain small components.
Right.
And people think, oh, I'm going to get it back in 2 weeks. No, it could be months.
It's like my Mustang, the 2010 convertible. Took it in September 28th. It's still in the shop. We've replaced just about everything on the car except the engine at this point. But now we're chasing an electrical gremlin. And honestly, I don't care as long as he gets it done right. That's what I care about.
Yeah, but it's how you speak to people. It's how you treat people. I mean, you can't go in saying, "Oh, you didn't call me," and you told me this and that. Well, you know what? Sometimes people are human. They get busy, okay? But you don't have to be rude to the business owner. Just it's the way you approach it. That's how you're going to get treated back in a lot of cases. It's done with the days where you have to just bend over backwards and trying to do everything you can when someone is being disrespectful to you. And that's where I think it's reciprocal. You have to, treat people how you would like to be treated, and it's, how you approach it, but it's about being educated on how to go about when you're approaching a new shop for potential service. It's telling them exactly what you're wanting and needing, telling that you were referred by somebody. And especially if you're referred by me, I promise you, they'll take extra good care of you. Because they know how serious I am about my referrals and, my reputation for that. And also ask them what their procedure is. Don't just drop off your car, drop off your part, and be gone, and don't ask any questions. Ask them what their, estimated wait time is. Ask them if they do a diagnostic, how much that is beforehand. Ask them, hey, could the price change from what you estimated originally? That could change for various reasons. So it's good for the person to really ask those questions and know before going into it, so they can decide if they do want to move forward or not. And then one last shop I have to mention, because a lot of these shops, again, they don't get a lot of recognition. They're not all over social media. They're old school. They're older. They've been around a while. But they've always done right by me for over 20 years. And it's Absolute Suspension and Tomball. They specialize in anything suspension related, especially on the old school vehicles. They're very fluent in anything related to truck suspension, car suspension, and alignments. And the owner, John over there, and his office guy, Dan, any referral that I give them, they've always taken care of my customers for me. So again, you may have to wait a little longer, drop your vehicle off, but they're going to make sure it's done right. So I appreciate them and their service.
So it's Absolute Suspension.
Absolute Suspension. They've been around for 30 years. And they've always done right by my customer referrals. So I just wanted to say thank you to all three of those shops, because in today's day and age, when we get lost in the shuffle of quantity, I got to get a customer in and out, I got to hurry. These guys are old school. They remember what it's like to deal with one customer at a time in efficiency, but you may have to wait a little bit longer. Just have patience. But I just wanted to say thank you to them. So.
I remember when the hair cutting place, I think it was Great Clip, showed up, and it was based on volume. It's like $6 haircuts, right? But how many people can they run through there in a day? And this isn't like that. These are people that are going to take their time. They're going to get it right.
Yeah, they want to properly diagnose it. They want to make sure everything is what it is, and then tell you what's needed. And then you've got to understand that some of these components, with the delays in production, manufacturing process, that we've all experienced in one way or another with whatever product it may be, there are very, very long delays. So,
well, I think sometimes too, when you're bringing a car back to life, right? Sometimes you have to set it off to the side. You have to think about it. Sometimes with some of the work I do on some of these television servers, sometimes I have to set it off to the side. Let me think about it overnight or a couple of days or whatever, and I'll get back on it. But, and the idea will usually surface, or I'll find somebody that knows the answer, and I'll get back on it. But you can't do it all the time right away. You just can't. It's not cookie cutter. It's just not.
Yeah. I mean, I say, grade them on effort for at least trying. But nobody's perfect. But, give the mom and pops a chance, So.
Yeah, or talk to them, right? Yeah.
Yep, and mention my name, too, so.
What was your name again?
Yeah. Say you were referred by me, and I promise you they'll take extra good care of you.
I thought it was Roberta. Yep. Oh, no, that's the other. That's the missing person. Yeah. Yep. So it's Dana Pritchard.
Yep, Dana Pritchard.
So give them your name, and they'll jack the price up then. And right.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions too about any of these or any service that they're looking for, just get in touch with me, and I'll be able to help them, with the process, facilitate that whole process. So I know it's scary when you're bringing your car somewhere for the first time, especially because a lot of people have been burned. I get that. So call me. I'll help walk you through the process. I'll help facilitate it. So this way you have a nice, easy, good experience.
So that brings me to my standard question. If people are going to get in touch with you, how do they? What is your number? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, well, they can always email me at dana@woodlandsperformance.com. I'm all over Facebook under the Woodlands Car Club, Woodlands Performance Services. And my phone number is 281-217-2912. But you could always find me on my website, woodlandsperformance.com. And it doesn't have to be just automotive related. If you're looking for any type of service, like I mentioned, if you need home repairs, home remodeling, the Woodlands Home Repairs is who I've done a lot of work for, I'm working with right now. And even with that industry, the construction industry or home repair industry, people have been burned before. They don't know what to expect.
That's maybe one of the worst industries for people being burned.
Yes, but it's who you know, it's how you approach it, it's realizing what your expectations are and asking those important questions to the business that you're wanting to potentially do business with, and not just going in blind. You don't just go tell somebody, hey, well, I'm getting 16 other quotes or 16 other estimates, how much is this going to be? That's not how you approach a business. So it's but yeah, contact me. I can help you with any type, whatever industry you're looking to have service done, and I can help facilitate that so it's nice and smooth and that you have a good experience no matter where you're going. So
that's good information. They've got your contact information now. If you didn't get it, you got to scroll back a little bit and you'll get it here in the program. I wanted to mention too, those are 3 shops you wanted to talk about. I wanted to mention coming this weekend. I know there's a couple of shows out there, but very specific to the Mustang world. The Mustang Club of Houston has their spring car show, which raises money for Stillwater Creek, which takes in kids that have been abused. And if you've ever seen some of the kids out there, it's heartbreaking to see some of these kids and realize what they've been pulled out of. So they're doing this for a good cause, but the Mustang Club of Houston Spring Car Show is being held at the Lone Star Flight Museum down right at the entrance to Ellington Airfield.
That's a beautiful show, too, and it's a great backdrop.
Well, and they'll have to confirm this, but I believe that the entry fee gets you into the museum. If not, it's not more than like $10 to get in there. It's all the money, 100% of those proceeds will go to a good cause. And it'll be to those kids. So if you get a chance, you've been to the Lone Star Flight Museum. It's the new facility is an incredible facility. They've got some great older planes in there and simulators and stuff like that, and stuff for the kids to do, for the adults to do. So it's a family-oriented thing.
It's something different too, besides just the cars they get to look at.
Yep. Yeah. So anyhow, the Mustang Club of Houston Spring Car Show at the Lone Star Flight Museum this weekend. That is Saturday.
That is Saturday. Yes, a lot of Saturday shows going on.
There are, but that one sticks out to me. Obviously, it's a Mustang show. It's one of the 2 charter Mustang Club of America clubs in the Houston area. There is another one in Beaumont, so there's actually 3 charter clubs in the southeast Texas area. But if you get a chance to go down there, please do.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We're going to slide on out of here and give the station a little bit of recognition, and then we'll be back. And when we come back, we've got a retired colonel in here to talk about an event he's got coming up, and then we're going to have a gentleman zoom in from New York City to talk about track driving and a new car that he's about to take delivery on.
Awesome.
This is Cruisin' Car Club Talk on Lone Star 104.5 and 106.1 FM. For those of you who may have wandered outside the listening area, we can be streamed around the globe at irlonestar.com, YouTube, or Facebook. And we'll be right back.
Get ready, Conroe. The 2025 MoCo Fashion Show is bringing glamour, style, and an unforgettable experience to downtown Conroe on May 3rd. Indulge in an exquisite 5-course dinner crafted by the talented Chef B, perfectly paired with Messina Hoff's award-winning wines, celebrating excellence since 1977. Then witness a runway like no other. From elegant evening wear to bold fashion statements, this night will leave you inspired. In the heart of downtown Conroe at Timberline Crossing Event Center, wine, dine, celebrate fashion through a night of elegance and entertainment. Tickets are on sale now. Visit us online and be a part of the magic at the 2025 MoCo Fashion Show. Don't miss it.
We are back and appreciate you taking time or spending time with us to cruise in for Car Club Talk with Robert, Randy, and Dana. This segment in the studio, we've got retired Colonel Mikel Burroughs, the Chief Executive Officer of Victory for Veterans, Inc. Michael, welcome to the studio. Appreciate you taking time to come in.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me here
Welcome.
again.
We're glad you're here.
This is my first rodeo.
It's an
Thank
awesome
you.
Cause. I know you've been on.
Always good when it's not your first rodeo, right?
Yeah, I know you've been on a couple of programs before in the past, but we're glad to have you here with us because I know you have a special event coming up, and I know you know a lot of the same people we know. Hunger Crush Cafe, Mike Kelton, great. Him and his wife are always donating back to charities, and I'm so glad that you partnered up with them to for your next event. So.
Yeah, he is great. He is great.
Tell us a little bit about Victory for Veterans, Inc.
So we're a national 501c3 nonprofit, and our primary mission is to reduce veteran suicide amongst our veterans and our first responders. You know, a lot of our first responders have served downrange, especially in the last 19, 20 years of war, either in Iraq or Afghanistan. You know, EMTs, doctors, physicians, nurses, right? Police officers, firemen. They kind of wear both hats, right? And so the suicide rate's very, very high amongst our veterans, and it's very, very high amongst our first responders, right? After they get out or after they retire and they start, you know, embellishing upon all the trauma that they've gone through, they need our help. And so we created 2 primary programs. One program is our online peer support that meets 10 times a week. It's free for veterans, first responders, caregivers, their family members. It's just getting people connected, right, and keeping them engaged, kind of creating that camaraderie they had when they were in the military or when they were on the front lines. And then our other program is our Life Readiness Center. This is where we provide holistic healing for traumatic brain injury, PTSD, and other invisible wounds.
So I want to dig in a little bit to the trauma that we're talking about, because it's a word we use. We throw it out there frequently, but we never really uncover it. We don't dig into, you know, like, what does that entail? You're talking about brain injuries, and I understand, you know, any type of injury to the physical body. But some of this is also psychological. I've got a friend who was in the Navy. She lives down on the south side of Houston here, but she's got some pretty serious issues related to them sending her out on a mission where she had to blow up a little kid. You know, I've not been, you know, I see it on television, right? It's not the same when you're there in person. And I'm assuming that's the type of stuff you're working with, right?
That's just one. That's one of many. PTSD or PTS, however you want to, frame it, can happen from a number of things, right? So some of this PTS that military people and first responders experience can be from childhood. It could be from bullying. Okay, it could be from traumatic experiences that they've had with parents, right? It could be a serious car accident, okay? And then they get into the military, right? And the military is a very dangerous business, right? And even during training, a lot of our military members and all the services experience traumatic events and accidents, right, while they're training, okay? And then they go downrange, right, and it gets exasperated, right? Now you're seeing the real thing, right? And things are happening. And it's just a combination of all those things. Plus, it could be military sexual trauma, right? Just like any large city that we have out there, right? You're going to have the bad people and you're going to have the good people. And it happens in the military, right? And we're talking male and female military sexual trauma, which brings that point, gets them involved with the PTSD, right? And that traumatic thing that they've gone through. So it's just different for everybody. In every case, they might have a couple of the same symptoms, but it doesn't fit all.
And isn't it true as well that even though you're around people all the time in the military setting with people, and all around you, they're always in groups, they're always together, you always have, your teammates. It's also very isolating and lonely. And that's where I think sometimes the PTSD that you were talking about from childhood or previous experiences, it all comes to the surface.
Right.
And then they just, don't know what to do with that in the setting that they're in.
Right. Well, and the other thing, too, is, in all of the services, no matter what services you're in, you have this regiment, right? You get up at a certain time. You have a job. You have responsibilities. You have leaders, okay? You know what you're doing. You've got your meals. You've got your health care. You've got your dental.
Very
You've got all of this
everything's
stuff, right?
structured. Mm-hmm.
Boom. They get that DD Form 214 and they're leaving, right? And a lot of them don't take time to really understand the transition. And now they don't have all of that, right?
Yeah.
That's why we have so many homeless veterans.
Integrating back into society.
Right, integrating.
Yeah.
So even transitioning out of the military service can cause PTSD.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you get out, you get discharged. That's what the
DD Form 214.
Form
right?
214 is. That's your discharge. And all of a sudden, hey, you're on your own.
You're back on the
And
block.
you're like, well, what do I do now, right?
Right, and where is the block, right?
Yeah.
Is the block inner city Chicago or inner city New York, right, or a suburb, right? Was it great when before you left there, right? Is it worse now? Where have all where have all your friends? Where is that? Where is your support team, right? And parents might even be gone by that time.
Yeah, well, I've got to imagine that from the time you go into the military, and let's say you spend 8 years in the military, and then you come home, things have changed.
Oh, yeah.
Things didn't stay the same over that time period. And so you come home to something totally different, as you're saying.
And you can't always rely on government assistance, so it's good to have these organizations that really help,
Right.
with all the needs that they could have after, serving. So.
There's a lot of us out there, and don't get me wrong, I mean, we just provide 2 programs. We're thinking about adding a 3rd program where we could potentially help people, with their VA claims, right? We'll see about that. But there are other organizations out there that do great things too. And, if you go to our website, we've got a resource page. We post all kinds of resources all over the country in different states that veterans can reach out to because we know we can't do it all. But we want to be that resource. We want to be able to help them and have a place for them to go, to find other resources.
That's awesome.
So you're connecting these people, you get them together. I've got to assume, I'm throwing a dart here, but I've got to assume that they may not be able to talk about what they're faced with.
Initially, some of them don't, but we always let them know that, hey, this is a free place. There's no judgment here. There's no stigma. We're not going to record this, right? We just want you to join us, listen in a couple times, right? And then when you start feeling comfortable, when you build that trust factor, okay, that, hey, you're dealing with other veterans and first responders that have gone through the same thing that you've gone through, and you've heard their stories, then you're more than welcome to speak up. And I tell you, when they finally do speak up, man, it takes those 100-pound bags off their shoulders.
I've got I mentioned this to you before we started recording here. I've got a retired Army Colonel nurse friend that lives in Hawaii. She still watches. She's from Beaumont originally, and she, or from Houston. Her folks moved to Beaumont, but she still watches streams live, Channel 13 ABC from Houston, and over in Hawaii. And she brought to my attention that there had been I think it was 4 Houston police officers or first responders that recently committed suicide.
Right.
And I hadn't actually seen it at the time. I went looking for it. And so I guess, and whether they were former military or whatever, it's the trauma that they're seeing out there, something that they're internalizing, and you're trying to help uncover that and get these people to a point where that's not what's on the top of their mind, right?
Right. We're trying to get them to talk. So usually, this is just my perception, right? I'm not a psychologist, but I've been doing this now for the last 8 or 9 years with Warriors for Life. That's our That's our program. That's our peer support program. We call it Warriors for Life. And, they wear different uniforms, but we're still Warriors for Life. I've noticed that the ones that don't speak up are the ones that you have to watch out for, right? When somebody speaks up, they're asking for help, and you can get them the help. It's the quiet ones that never say anything that we lose, that end up dying from suicide. That happened to my father-in-law. He never spoke up. And then one day, he was gone. And we didn't think he left anything, but after, the police get done, with the house, and of course, they've got to investigate it and everything. 6 months later, we found a letter that he had hid, and he just said, I've given up. I've just given up,
Well, I think that's the key too. Is that everybody, supposedly gets to a point where if somebody doesn't take their life, that's when they leave this earth, they've given up. They've just their will to live is gone. And I think, unless I'm missing something here, what you're trying to tell people is there is a reason to live.
Absolutely.
And you just need to open up a little bit and start to experience life again. You and I were talking before we started recording. You left home at 17, and 1975. So I'm dating you there. But you had the opportunity to travel the world, and you have, and that opens your eyes to a lot of things. You realize what is out there. But I guess some of these folks that we're talking about get so severely damaged that they then clam back up and they just don't see it. It's in front of them, they just can't see it.
Right.
And that's what you're trying to uncover here.
And and not only getting them to open up, but once they do that, having them be a part of something. Instead of feeling like they're isolated. I know I had an 11-year-old Navy veteran. She was a female. When she finished serving, I think she served 8 years. When she got out, she just didn't know what she wanted to do. Where does she belong? Where does she fit in? And she always loved automotive. And so she got herself a Camaro, and she went to automotive school, graduated, and then she came to work with us. And she said, this is good because I feel like I'm part of a team.
Right.
I'm being constructive. I'm doing something that makes me happy. I'm doing something that makes other people feel happy on their cars.
Right.
And it makes her feel part of something. That's one of the things that I hear often is they just feel alone.
What's really exciting about our Warriors for Life program is after my father-in-law died from suicide on 8 December 2015, we kind of started a program. It was called Sponsor a Vet, and we were doing, reality-type virtual stuff, just to get veterans connected. And the lady I was dealing with had gotten stage 4 Lyme's disease, and she just couldn't do it anymore. But we had connected all these veterans, and I said, hey, I don't want to lose this, right? And one lady that we had out of Australia, she was all the way from Australia, right? And she had PTSD from bullying. And I said, hey, we got to keep this group going. I said, we got to come up with a name, right? And she came up with Warriors for Life. I can't even take credit for that, right? But so we kept Warriors for Life going, and I was doing it every Saturday night. And by the way, I have been doing it every Saturday night for the last 9 years now. I don't miss a Saturday night, okay?
So you know what you're doing on a Saturday night.
Absolutely. I know what I'm doing on Saturday night. And all of those veterans that joined me initially, they are all now facilitators for Warriors for Life.
That's amazing.
They're 100% disabled, right? The program helped them so much that they said, hey, I want to help other veterans. And it's just part of their healing mission. And so now we're doing it 10 times a week.
And it gives them purpose. It gives them purpose.
They love it. And I've gotten them all peer support certified, right? So we know how to work with veterans. We come up with different topics, different things that people can do that we discuss. Like tonight, I've got Derek, and he's going to be talking about perception, right? Perception of ourself. Perception of ourself when we have mental health, right? Is it positive or is it negative, right? You got to get rid of the negative and got to bring the positive back into the life. So, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And it can be a minute-by-minute process, too.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not always serious. A lot of this is getting together to have some fun.
Yep.
And on June 7th this year,
Right.
you're going to have a North Houston area charity motorcycle and classic car ride. So this isn't a car show. This is, we're going to get together. We're going to cruise point to point. We're going to go on basically like a poker run, right?
Right.
Motorcycles too.
Explain that a little bit, if you would.
Well, this is something, again, that as the chairman of the board for Victory for Veterans, I came up with many, many moons ago when I was out in San Diego, and I said, hey, look, I've got a motorcycle. I said, we need to get our veterans and first responders out there, and we need to have some poker runs and some dice runs. You know, we need to raise money to keep the lights on, right, and continue to help our veterans. And so before COVID hit, we were doing this in about 6 or 7 different locations around the country. We even had Orange County choppers, you know, the guys that build choppers,
Yeah.
you know. COVID hit, boom, and we dropped down to about 3 or 4. So we've had 3 going for the entire 9 years. This will be our 8th year in Denver, Colorado. It'll be our 8th year out in the Hill Country in Bernie, Texas. And it'll be our 4th year here in the Woodlands since I moved to Texas 4 years ago now. And it's just a great way to raise money, get that camaraderie out there, get all the bikers out there. We don't care. I don't care if you ride a Harley, a Honda, Suzuki, any kind of motorcycle, right? And let's have a little bit of fun. Let's stop. And, you know, I ran into Mikel at Hunger Crush Cafe, and he was telling me about all the classic cars that come in, you know, the first Saturday of every month. And I said, okay.
Let's add in that.
We got to add that. I said, this is going to be cool, man, because, you know, if we go to point A and then we go to point B and we've got all these classic cars and all these motorcycles showing up, people are going to notice, right? And people are going to see it, and they're going to get to see the classic cars, right? And we're going to build awareness for what we're doing, right? And we're going to raise money, and we're going to have fun. So I just want to keep it going.
So on June 7th, you've actually got it says 149 miles. That's 150 basically.
Yeah.
And you've got 3 stops in there. Stops, I guess, to get food. You're going to have
Get a food or, you know, get a drink, right? Just hydrate, you know. I mean, hey, June, we start getting a little bit warm. I'm hoping for a great day.
A lot warm.
Right. A lot
Especially on a
warm.
motorcycle.
Yeah. Yeah, we just want the classic cars. Hey, bring 3 or 4 passengers with you, you know. Pay to get a dice card, right? It's $5 to get a dice card, you know. You could win $100, right, if you had the high roll. But it's just stopping by and acknowledging these places, you know, like City Hall Cafe, right, and Drifters. There's a couple other places that we're going to be stopping at. But let all these people know about these great places out here and where they can go to get some great food, right, and some great beverages, or, you know, they have live music at some of these places. But, you know, it's doing a lot, right, just to bring acknowledgement to what we're doing and what they're helping us out with.
So on June 7th,
Yeah.
this ride starts where?
Hunger Crush Cafe on
Off of Lake
105.
Conroe.
It's
Yeah,
Highway
Lake Con-
105
Yeah.
west, I take it?
Yeah,
That way.
yeah, that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way.
So and that's actually in Montgomery, so it's a little ways to the west out
Yeah.
there. And then you're going to end up after the 3 stops, and again, it's like kind of a poker run.
Right.
So people are going to have to, you know, they'll be announced as where we're going to the next one once
Right.
they get to the first one, right?
Well, they get a map too. We hand out a map when they register, you know, and then of course a lot of our Harley riders, they just put it into their Harley app and they've got the GPS,
In
right?
the Harley app.
And just as,
Yeah.
just as a landmark, if people don't know where Hunger Crush Cafe is, if they know where Fajita Jack's is on the lake, that's a big staple. So it's right next to Fajita Jack's.
Right there next
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it ends at the J&B Cycle Works in Conroe.
Yeah.
That's on Highway 242? Is that
That's
right?
on 242, yeah.
Okay. And then now registration is 8 to 10 that same day, right?
Yep, 8 to 10, we'll have a booth set up. People can buy 50/50 raffle tickets. We'll have all of our brand new T-shirts out there that we got a whole brand new set of T-shirts for Victory for Veterans, okay? Yeah, and they'll register there, you know, they sign their liability form, and then, you know, people are kind of on their own, but they'll go in groups, right? People will go in groups. The ride will go through the stops. We've got the Hog Chapter, the Woodlands Harley-Davidson Hog Chapter, which I'm a member of, right? They're the one that laid out the route. They'll have guys there that'll be, you know, calculating the dice rolls, right, and putting it on the sheet. And it's just a lot of fun. Let me tell you, it's just a great day.
Well, register. So you start rolling at 10,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And the last rollout's at 11.
yep,
So whoever's registered, they're in and out within an hour.
right.
And then registration is for riders or it says rider's fee, but that could be a driver also of a car, right? That's $30
$30
per
for
entry.
the driver, $30 for the motorcycle rider, and then any passenger, if you have a passenger on the bike, it's $5. If you have a passenger in the car, it's $5. That gets them a dice sheet, and that way they can participate.
Okay.
We just want everybody to have fun.
Okay. So if it's the passenger in the car and they've got 3 passengers, it's $5 per passenger, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So, again, June 7th, starting registration 8 to 10 at the Hunger Crush Cafe. The ride will end at J&B Cycle Works in Conroe on 242. So 242 is actually south of what I consider Conroe. I grew up here. There
Right.
wasn't anything down there back then,
I would
right?
say 242 East, right? It's 242 East.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, east.
Yeah.
Yeah. Opposite direction of the college.
There you go.
Yeah. It's on the way to Mosito's, Mexican
Yeah.
restaurant.
We're
which
going
is
to have to
great.
work on you with these directions.
Yeah, well, I'm new. What can I say? I'm sorry, I'm a transplant.
It's before you get to the HEB in Harper's Landing
Yeah.
area. So.
Now, there's a flyer on here that I'm looking at, or I've got in front of me, that has a QR code on it. I'm assuming
Yeah.
this is online somewhere and they can find it.
Well, if people want to avoid the lines, right? If they just want to show up at 8 o'clock and have breakfast at the Hunger Crash Cafe, by the way, Mike Kelton is providing a discount, for anybody that wants to have breakfast there, and he's got some great food, man. Let me tell you, I've
They
been
do.
there
And
several
mimosas.
times. It's awesome. It's awesome, right? And get a cup of coffee, right? And just meet other riders and look at some of the classic cars that show up, and stuff like that, and just kind of hang out for a while, right? Register online and avoid the lines. A lot of people wait because of rain days.
Which you already rescheduled once.
Right. So we were scheduled for the 5th of April. Now the 7th of June. 5th of April was terrible, and I'm glad we didn't have anybody out on the road.
Yeah.
Safety first, okay?
Yep.
So we're praying real hard that the 7th will be great, and we're hoping that we get 100-plus riders and drivers. That would be awesome. We would be able to raise a lot of money.
Yeah, and
Well,
I-
and again, it's all about the amount of money you raise for the charity.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, everything, all these tickets, everything that they do here is tax deductible, right? And it's going for a good cause. And just so everybody knows out there, we have no paid employees at Victory for Veterans. As a matter of fact, you're listening to the only person that runs Victory for Veterans, and that is me. And I do that from my home. And everybody else is a volunteer, and we love what we do. So that when you make these donations, right, and you do these rides, 95% of your money is going back into the Warriors for Life program, and it's going back into the Life Readiness Center. It's going to do what we tell you it's going to do, and that's heal and save veterans and first responders.
Just out of curiosity, what is the driving force in you to want to save these veterans? I know that's a difficult question to ask, but there's something there that drives you.
When I got back from my tour in Iraq, OIF 05, 06, as a commander, I lost 3 soldiers that died from suicide. And then on 8 December 2015, I lost my father-in-law, who was a Vietnam veteran, who served in Vietnam as a sniper with the Marines. And, when you're faced with that, right, and you're constantly hearing about it, and you've served your country, because you wanted to serve your country, because you're proud of your country, I don't want to lose any more veterans. I don't want to lose any more first responders, right? So what can I do for the rest of my life until they fold my flag? I can help save lives.
Well, after you're done with your duty to the country, that's still your family,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
And I've just, when you watch it in the movies, it's one thing. The movie ends and you go on with whatever you were doing, to the next movie, which may be a comedy. You never know what you're going to watch next. But this is something you carry with you day to day, right?
Oh, every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. And when you lose one of these people, it's got to be awfully tough.
It is tough, but we all process it in our own way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We lost a soldier downrange, that died in a helicopter accident. And again, everybody processes it in a different way. As a commander, you've got to be there to lead your troops, and people are looking for you to be the standard bearer, right? So I was able to process it after I got out, after I retired. Just like a first responder, you know, who stays on the job being a firefighter for 25 years, right? He doesn't have time to process it, right? Because he's doing it day in and day out. But when he retires, you have time to process it. This is how I'm processing it, by helping other veterans, by being involved, by listening to their stories. It helps me process what I've been through.
And Michael has also extended his family to the classic car community, and that's how we're all one big family now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it goes far beyond just the veterans. It's motorcycles and now the classic car community, which is what we're a part of. So we're glad that we can
I'm
collaborate.
excited about that. I'm
Yeah.
really excited
Yeah.
about that. I didn't even think about it
Because
until
you're broadening
Mike
the
says.
audience.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
Well, now you're getting mixed up with the really sketchy people, you know.
Hey, well, we all got a little sketch going on, right?
That's right. That's right. Let's keep some of that hidden. You know, some of it deserves to be hidden.
Randy, you're always bringing that up somehow, somewhere.
Hey, if you guys don't mind, you know, I've got this coming up the 7th of June, but we've got 2 other big events coming up that people can get involved with. So on May 17th, we have the Heroes and High Rollers Casino and Dinner Night, where we're partnering with the Hearts Veterans Museum up in Huntsville. And the Diamond G Ranch in New Waverly has given us their facility free of charge to house 250 people to raise money. And I'm telling you what, we're going to have a blast. The casino night is awesome.
Well, do
People
they-
love it's play gambling, right? And they get raffle tickets, but they can use those raffle tickets, right, to potentially win a very nice gun. We will be doing a live auction of 4 really nice, awesome guns from CC's, okay, here in Conroe, that he's put up for us to do our live auction. We're going to have a dinner, we're going to have a guest speaker, and we're going to have live music. So this is going to go from like 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 11 p.m., so that's a big event, right?
Well, do you have accommodations
It's
for
May
people
17th.
to stay overnight? Because
Oh, yeah.
they may not want to drive after all that.
I know.
These guys are going to show up, and there's going to be guys. They're going to be guys, you know, playing cards or whatever with the glasses on, sunglasses and the ball cap pulled down.
Actually, I played last Veterans Day. We did this on Veterans Day, you know, up at the Hearts Museum, right? I won $14,000.
Oh.
You know, so I won a lot of raffle tickets, you know, and put them in the pot.
You're
Didn't
addicted.
win anything, but
14,000, buddy.
yeah, I was doing pretty good, and that was all on the Texas Hold'em table. And then another really, really important event, and I love this one, and it's really the true meaning of Memorial Day, but on the 26th of May, on Memorial Day, we will do a flower on every grave. Me and my wife will be hosting Houston National Cemetery. We have 12 cemeteries that we're doing this across the country right now, including Dallas-Fort Worth, which we just brought on. And on that day, again, this is an event me and my wife started 8 years ago at Fort Logan National Cemetery in Denver. We place a rose at the foot of each grave. And this is just to honor not only those people that made the ultimate sacrifice, okay, in war and combat, but for people that are in turn there that made the sacrifice for our country to serve. Because when you go along and you see those headstones, you see Vietnam. You see the Korean War, you see World War I, you see World War II, you see OIF, you see OEF, right, where these people have served our country. They made a sacrifice. So we place a rose at their foot of their grave. The kids and the families just love it.
Is that similar to the wreaths that
Yeah,
they place?
it
It's
is.
similar to the reefs, but
Different
you know
time
what?
of year.
Okay.
We decided on Memorial
Yep.
Day. And
I,
so
That's
we
nice.
started that 8 years ago with 500 roses, and now we're doing it at 12 locations. And what's really exciting is we're getting ready to sign an MOU with the Enterprise Group at the VA administration that manages all 155
Oh,
cemeteries.
that's very cool.
Oh, wow.
And they love our mission.
I'll tell you what, I won't be here this year for that. I've got an event out of town, but I will take part with you in that. My mom and dad are in that cemetery in grave, their headstone number 929S.
Make sure you get that to me after we get done today,
Absolutely.
and me and my wife will make sure that we place a rose just
Thank-
for you.
Thank you so much.
And my
Very much
grandfather,
appreciate
too.
that.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Give me the markers.
And if you send me the information, I can make a post on our Facebook page.
Absolutely. So,
No, that's a wonderful one there too. So,
oh yeah.
listen, we've got to get out of here for some station information, station identification. How do people get in touch with you? Do you have a cell phone or something?
Well, if I gave them the cell phone, that's my home phone, I'd probably get blown up just about every day. So
More than
what I
likely.
what I like to do is just give them my email address. It's Mikel, Mikelb, at Victory for Veterans, spell it all the way out, FOR, for veterans.org. You email me if you're having troubles, if you want to get connected to Warriors for Life, or they can go out to the website, and if they want to do the Warriors for Life, you can meet the team out there, and it's got every night that we're scheduled. It's got a biographical sketch of that person that's going to be hosting that night and the times, and all they got to do is click on Zoom, and boom, they're right in the meeting. So,
Okay, so they can take part with a Zoom call.
absolutely. And if they want to do a flower on every grave, all 12 cemeteries are out there, and they can click on there, and they can make a donation for the roses, and they can volunteer. We love volunteers.
Yep, no, volunteers out there. You don't realize how big that cemetery is here in Houston until you get out there.
It's big.
Yeah, it's big. I take part in Wreaths Across America every year, so I want to take part in this with you. But they can take part in any of the events that you put on.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And the website is victoryforveterans.org.
Correct.
is what they would go to. All right. Michael, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you
in and
so
taking
much.
time with us.
Well, Randy, Dana, thank you. I really appreciate it. You
Yeah.
guys have been wonderful supporters, and I love what you're doing here
I'm
with
glad
the
I
station.
reached out to you. I'm
We
glad I
look forward
found
to
you.
taking part with you.
Thank you so much.
We
Thank you
appreciate
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
This is Cruisin Car Club Talk on Lone Star 104.5 and 106.1 FM. Or for those Globetrotters out there, we can be streamed anywhere on earth at irlonestar.com, on Facebook, or on YouTube. I'm Randy Weldon. This is Dana Pritchard. Michael, thank you for coming in. Your last name, I lost it here. Burroughs. It was there somewhere. I just had to find it. Thank you for coming into the studio with us, and we will be back in just a minute.
Car enthusiasts of Conroe, FM 104.5 and 106.1 Lone Star Community Radio invites you to shift into gear every Monday from 1 to 2 with Cruisin Car Club Talk with Robert and Randy for news on all things automotive in the greater Houston-Conroe area. Can't make a live show? We've got you covered. You can find all of our uncut content, including full episodes on Spotify, iTunes, Play Store, YouTube, Facebook, and irlonestar.com. Again, that's Mondays 1 to 2, Cruisin Car Club Talk with Robert and Randy. See you there.
Welcome back. Our guest this segment is David Diulus. I missed it yesterday.
Diulus.
Randy,
Diulus. Hey, I practiced. I practiced all the way up the freeway today. David, you're in. You left Houston. You're up in New York City right now.
Yeah, a business trip in New York City. I'll be back to Houston tomorrow evening.
Well, we hope everything goes well for you up there. But we appreciate you taking time to zoom in with us today to talk about cars. We know that's not your passion, not cars, right?
Just a little bit, yeah.
So you, I want to talk about getting people off the couch and out to the track. But before we get to that, let's talk about this Mustang GTD. It's kind of this isn't a dark horse. This is a special built factory race car, right?
Yeah, it's essentially the GT3 Mustang that competes in IMSA, and it's the street version of it. It's in fact, it's got a lot more active aero and technology that some of the GT3 cars do not have. So it's quite a car. It's designed to compete with the Porsche GT3 RS, and Jim Farley kind of threw the gauntlet down to the Ford engineers and said, "Can we beat the Porsche around the Nuremberg ring?" And they're working on it. In fact, before I came on, I saw a video of them doing some more testing. They're down below 7 minutes, which is a huge accomplishment. That's the first American manufacturer to do that. I think they're down to 6 minutes and 57 seconds, but they want to get down into the low 640s. That would get them below the Porsche.
So you're actually on a list to take delivery on one of these.
I am. I went through a process. You had to do a video and an application, and my wife reminded me. You said I'm a car guy. She keeps track of all my toll passes that I've changed over the years. I've had about 16 cars in the last 20, 25 years, and a lot of Mustangs and a lot of Porsches. When I filled out the application for the GTD, it turned out I had over 18 Ford products in the last 25 years.
Over 18, wow. So that application, they only produce, or they only put you on that list for like 37 or 40 people, don't they, when they first introduce these cars?
That list is going to be, their estimates of about 1,200 people that they're going to build, between 12 and 1,500. It's a pretty, small list of people that are going to get them. There were far more people. I think I read over 8,000 people applied, and only 1,200 were awarded.
So 1,200 people out of 8,000 applications. So a really, really specialized little group. This vehicle is a street legal car.
Correct. It's the GT3 Mustang that races, converted to a street version. And one of the things that I put in my application was that I would be taking it to Ford events around the country and taking it out on the track. So I'm committed to doing that.
So once you get this, you'll be going. I know you're a member at MSR Houston, Motorsports Ranch Houston, or Motorsports Resort or Ranch.
Ranch.
Ranch. Yeah. Okay. I had it right the first time. I shouldn't second guess myself. But you're a member there, and you spent a lot of time there. I believe you were out there last weekend as well, right?
I was out there last weekend in my Porsche. There was a charity event for children with cancer. So we were doing rides with both the children and the family. We do that once a year. It's a great event.
Yeah, that group's name's Lotus, I believe, or
yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Lotus.
Yeah, I've been there before for Mustang Club America to basically report an article on that. That's a touching event. That is very, very touching to watch what some of these families go through.
Very much so.
Yeah,
I enjoy helping out and doing it and giving back. They bring smiles to their face. They really enjoy it.
It's the smiles on the kid's face that just brings it all home, isn't it?
It is, for sure.
Some of the stories are just heartbreaking, and some of the things that you'll see single mothers that they have to go through enduring this with kids. But thank you so much for going out and doing that. Do you? What got you? Have you always been into driving cars? I mean, were you just wild on the streets? How did this all start?
Actually, I was into Broncos and Jeeps as a kid in high school, and was not into cars. And in fact, my two sons, they're now in their 20s, but when they were younger and they're teens, early teens, they really enjoyed the cars. And I went to get my key fob fixed on my Raptor, and there was a bright orange GT350 back when they first came out up at Anderson Ford up there in Cleveland, Texas. And the guy said he had it on the lot for a long time. And I called my wife and said, "You're going to need to come get me. I'm leaving or you're going to need to come get me to help sign some of the paperwork." And she said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "I just bought a Shelby GT350." So I got into the car craze late. At 50, I'm 62 now, so at 54 years of age and it was my first manual stick shift. When I went to do the test drive, I told the manager, "You're going to have to drive it for me. I don't know how to drive it."
Oh, God.
He said, "You got to be kidding me." And I said, "Well, look, I'll learn how to drive it." And that night I learned how to drive it. And then I was at a car meet down in Kemah, and a gentleman named Curtis Norman. I know you know Curtis.
Oh my, yeah. Now you're really bringing in a sketchy company here.
Oh yeah,
Everything's sketchy with you.
Well, no,
We're
yeah.
talking about sketchy.
Curtis is a great guy, though. You have to know Curtis.
Yeah, he actually he was the one that led that National Mustang event we had here at the Lone Star Museum. Did a great job.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did a really good job. So Curtis introduced himself to me and he said, "Look, what are you going to do with this car?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to drive it." And he said, "You're going to take it to the track?" And I said, I really never thought of that. And he goes, you need to come to the Mustang Nationals, the Shelby National up at Hallett. And I said, okay. So I went up to Hallett, and Curtis took me out on the track, and he's the one that I refer to him as my track dealer. He got me he got me hooked. He got me hooked. Him and Ed.
Oh, and Ed Hockaday, yeah.
Ed Hockaday
Yeah.
and Curtis were the guys that got me into it. And nowadays, a guy named Joe Johnson. We all know Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson and I have done a lot of these tracks. We've been to VIR out in Virginia, Ozarks International. In fact, Joe called me this morning and said, are we going to go to the Mustang Nationals up at the Ozark Internationals over the Memorial Day weekend? I think I'll be joining Joe up there to do that. So,
Well, good. I'll be up there. I'll see you there.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So Curtis got you involved in this, and your first tracking. So let me back up for a second. You learned to drive stick at the age of 54.
Yep.
And then shortly after that, you were at a car show, and Curtis Norman says you got to get out on the track, and the first course he takes you to is Hallett.
That's correct. That's correct.
Which people in Houston, if you've never been to Hallett, that's a very hilly track. It's quite challenging, and it's a lot of elevation rises and drops, and a lot of real good turns out there. So that's the first track. But you did a ride along there with Curtis, right?
Curtis was my instructor, so he said, look, I'll get you out on the track, and we'll get you in the left seat, and we're gonna walk you through this, and he said, hey, you might have a tendency to progress at this. You looks like you like it. So I had a great time around all the car people, and it's not just the car and driving on the track. It's the people, and it's going to dinner with people. It's sharing, what you learned about your car and their car. It's very much the people, and so I enjoyed that, and I came back, and another gentleman, Phil Jones, another Mustang guy. You see a pattern here with all these Mustang guys, and Phil said, hey, look, if you like that, you need to join a club that there's a training class, and then in addition to that, you get to drive on the track. So I joined an organization called the Driver's Edge, and run by Rick, and a really good program. And I started progressing my way up through that group. And when you get in these cars, you're amazed at what they can do on the track. On the street they're fun to go on cruises, but you can't be driving at 150 miles an hour on the street. That's just not safe and responsible. So, getting out on these tracks, you can put the car to its limits, and that's really a lot of fun.
Well, but at the same time, you improve your driving skill on the road, your awareness and your willingness for whatever reason to drive safer on the road. I think after you come away from the track.
The track does make you a safer driver on the street, by all means.
Yeah, I came back from an event one time at Pike Peak International Raceway, and flew back from Denver to Houston, got in my car, in my Mustang, and coming off of the, whatever that road is that goes along the south side of Henry Continental's runway to the Hardy, I found myself hitting that overpass that goes north on 45. I looked down, I was doing 100 miles an hour, and I was just like, all right, fortunately it was just me on that overpass. It's a one lane, right? But you got to slow down. My newfound skill wasn't for the road, but at least I realized it at that point. And I think that's what you realize. To operating in a safer environment makes all the difference in the world. Let me ask you this. So to get off the couch and get started, I think a lot of people buy these cars, regardless of what manufacturer's brand it is. They buy the cars, and when they're driving on the freeway, in their mind, they're a race car driver. I think that's happened to all of us. Happened to you?
Well, you have to learn how to hold the steering wheel, for one thing, if you're going to consider yourself a race car driver, right?
Yeah.
That's right, 9 and 3.
And then Randy has to learn how to eat a cheeseburger while he's doing his racing.
Yeah, I got to quit texting and racing on the road, on the freeway. You've got a couple of Corvettes. You've had motorcycles. David's got Porsches and Mustangs.
Important domestic.
Both, yeah. And I'm just a Mustang guy, but the reality is you've got it in your mind when you drive the car pretty much every time you get in on the street. But to take that reality, to make it real, you've got to get out on the track. And what's the first step, David, to getting off the couch and getting out on the track?
The best way to get out on the track is to do it, in a controlled environment with some instruction. And you can do that one of two ways. You can join a high performance driving group such like Driver's Edge, Edge Attic, Porsche Club of America. They're open to all makes of cars. So you can't say, well, I have a Mustang, I can't go to a Porsche event. Sure, you can. They're open to all makes of cars. And you join one of these events. You sign up for them. You can go online. Motorsport Reg, shows all the different organizations and when they're going to be at different tracks around the state. And you sign up for it. You have your car inspected to make sure that it's safe to go out on the track. And then when you go to that organization, if you guys were both new, and Randy and Dana, you were both new, then you would be in the novice group, and you would be assigned to an instructor, and that instructor would be in the car with you at all times. Typically, you're in the car 2 20-minute sessions in the morning, and then 2 20-minute sessions in the afternoon. And when you're not on the track, you're in class, and they're teaching you all the dynamics of braking, turning, and how to handle the car, and how the physics of the car make the car go around the corners and provide stability and gas and acceleration. So it's very, very helpful. It's very hands-on, practical type training. And then once you do that for a period of time, these organizations all run about 5 weekends out of the year. You'll progress, and you'll go from a novice all the way up to the advanced. So there's typically a green run group, which is a novice, a blue, which is intermediate. And when you get into that blue group, you're beginning to go solo. So just like a pilot, they'll let you go solo after a while, and they observe how you do out on the track with other people. And then as you advance, you get into the intermediate advanced, which is a yellow group, and then the red group is the very advanced group. And what happens as you advance is the speeds increase and the skills increase. And it's a lot of fun because, like I said, if Randy and Dana, if you guys did this, you'd be doing it at the same time, and you'd know each other, and you'd progress together, and you'd get out on track. And if Dana's faster than Randy or vice versa, you want to get behind Dana and learn from her. And then when you pass her, you get excited, and it is an open track event, so it's not a race, but there is passing, and the passing's done in a safe manner. So there's a signal to the driver that's giving the pass to the car that's going to be taking the pass, and then you pass that car on the track. And speeds are quick. These events, depending on the track, if you're at the Circuit of Americas, depending on the car and the type of driver, you could be at 170 miles an hour, in a Porsche or a GT500 Mustang, the new Mustangs, and then the track like MSR Houston, you could be up to around 135, 140 miles an hour. It's a bit of a shorter track.
I've actually been in at 165 miles per hour as a ride along, but it feels as normal as being on the freeway at 55. It really does. The whole thing is you're learning how to not upset the balance of the car when you're coming down to a turn or something like that and coming through the turn. There's a lot of education that goes in this, but you become one heck of a better driver out there.
You do, and now I'm instructing. I instruct for Porsche, the PCA nationally, and then I instruct for this Driver's Edge, which is a regional group, and then some for MCA, for Mustang Club of America. And instructing's great because you're giving back, helping people progress, and it also reinforces what you should do and what you shouldn't do when you're in the car, and it brings a smile on your face. I had a student this past weekend, and he was a banker, and typically the bankers and engineers are more conservative, and the salespeople tend to be the more let her rip, and then they'll learn as they go. So it's a challenge out there. This gentleman was really struggling around the track, and I mean it was rough sitting in the right seat. And then I said, after lunch I'll put you in the car with me, and we'll go out at speed, and you'll see what these cars are capable of. And we did that, and when we came in, he said, boy, now I know what you're talking about. And when I went out with him after that, it was like a light switch went off. He was holding the speeds in the corners and understanding the weight transfer of the car. And he had a fantastic time, and he left with the biggest smile on his face and said, I'll be back. I'm addicted.
Yep. That's all it takes, that one time. And you have an addiction that's been formed all of a sudden. So
Adrenaline's going.
it is. Yeah, a lot of fun out there. Yeah. What's when is your next event here in Houston at MSR, or where are you next?
I do. We have an MSR event with Driver's Edge, and I believe they're the first weekend in May, which is I think the 5th and 6th or 4th and 5th. I don't have the calendar in front of me, but it's that first weekend, and you can sign up. You can go to Motorsport Reg, I believe, or you can just go to the Driver's Edge and sign up. I was just at a Porsche event recently, last weekend, and then Porsche will be back out there again in October. So they're to your point, Randy, it's easy to get off the couch. It's a safe environment. There are a lot of clubs out there that will help you through the process. You're not going to hurt the car. The cars are designed for this. In fact, the Mustangs love to be revved up high, and so do the Corvettes and the Porsches. It's a race motor or high performance motor. They much rather do that than drive an overdrive on I-45.
Or stop and go traffic.
Yeah, yeah, with the crazies that are out there, right? What do people? Do you show up at the track in a pair of sandals or flip flops and shorts and a t-shirt?
Well, you can, but you won't be allowed to get in the car. So typically you need closed toes shoes. So you can wear tennis shoes or a loafer, but you can't wear a sandal. Depending on the organization, they've all kind of been a little bit more progressive. It used to be jeans and long sleeve shirts, and that's driven by the insurance of the track or the insurance of the organization renting the track. But in Texas now, they're pretty much allowing people to wear shorts and short sleeve shirts as long as they have closed toe shoes. I would strongly recommend wearing like a Carhartt long sleeve shirt and jeans. It's safe in case there is an issue.
And do some people wear special racing shoes too?
They do. I wear racing shoes myself, and the purpose of that is you can feel the modulation in the pedal when you're braking very, very much easier, and it's much easier with the clutch and everything else to have a race shoe. But it's not required. But as you advance, you're going to wear that, and then if you are in a car that is a race car, then you'll get into wearing a fire suit, an actual fire suit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you're going 165 miles an hour or 135 or whatever, you're thinking a little bit more about safety all the time, because it doesn't take much of a slip or something to break for you to be in trouble.
I had a wheel in my Mustang, and it was a certified track wheel. 8 of the 10 spokes broke, and it was in a flow forged wheel, which is different from a forged aluminum wheel. The forged wheel won't break, but a flow forged wheel, which is a little less money, when I was starting out, that's what I had. They need to be replaced every 2-3 years because they get stress cracks, and that's exactly what happened. They had stress cracks, and when I went into a turn, and it was a slow speed turn, you feel the front of the car in your arms, your forearms, and you feel the rear of the car in your butt. And I could feel something in my arms, my forearms, and all 8 of 10 spokes broke on the wheel.
Did you have a chance to slow down or anything before that happened?
I felt it, and I did the before I went down the straight where I would have been going about 140 going to the next turn. I pulled over and the race control came out and they were pointing at my wheel and saying that you broke your wheel. So you have instincts out there, but that's a rare thing. And that was an older wheel. It's a very safe sport out on track. There's lots of runoff, and with an instructor in the car, and even when you go solo, you really understand the dynamics of the car, the weight transfer, and it's a pretty safe environment.
Well, but that's kind of the point. You've got a safe environment. You've got a track that's designed for this. You've got safety crews out there. The track is prepped and watched, and they're looking at your cars also. As they go
they are, and I always tell the coffee and car crowd, come on out and give this a try. You'll even if you only do it once, you'll at least know what the car is capable of. And I do preach, keep it on the track, not on the street. The street racing's just it's not cool. And a lot of people don't realize, on the track, I'm going 160 feet a second. So you try moving those speeds on the street, and someone's pulling out of a shopping center.
Yep.
You'll be up on those people so quick you won't. You just can't do that.
Yeah, even on the freeway coming up here on 45, cars. There's one jam point just north of Rayford Road, where the car's trying to get off the freeway and the car's trying to get on the freeway. Slow down. It comes almost to a screeching halt. So if you're doing 55 miles an hour, not paying any attention at all, or just a little attention, you're going to come up on them pretty quick.
Absolutely, it's amazing how quick they come up on.
Yeah. Well, David, we're going to hit our time period here. Is there a way that people can get? Is there a way people can get in touch with you and or some of the tracks like MSR? I did put a website link to MSR Houston up on the information.
If you want to get in touch with the track direct, you can go to MSR site, which Randy's posted, and they'll do private lessons. You'll have instructor. I instruct for them out there. They'll call me out to help students. The other thing is you can go to Motorsport Reg. They'll have all the different track events, high performance driving events in the area, and then two really good clubs, and they're both equally good. And I instruct for both. That would be the Driver's Edge, and they're at track here in Houston. They operate up in Dallas at the Motorsport Crescent, and they operate at Eagles Canyon. And then you also have Porsche Club of America, the Lone Star Porsche branch here in Houston. And we run at both MSR Houston, and then we also run out at the big track out at COTA, out in Austin.
Out in Austin, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good track out there. Mm-hmm. If people want to hear locally in the Houston area, once you get back, can they go out to MSR and just watch, look around?
Absolutely. They can come out and watch the cars. There's some grandstands, and it happens every time I'm out there. Someone will come up and ask for a ride, and as a member, the insurance allows us to take passengers, and I give passengers rides all the time. People enjoy it.
And maybe I'm missing something here, but after you've given a ride, it's probably not too long after that they're coming back, and now you're getting to know them as a friend, and people now you hang out with probably the rest of your life.
Absolutely, you hit it on the nail on the head. It is really, really about the people, not the cars. It's so much about the people. I mean, that's how I met you, and guys like Curtis Norman and Joe Johnson. A lot of people have met over the years. Absolutely.
Yeah, Brian Carrick's in that group.
Brian, yep.
Yeah,
the Boss brothers up in Missouri. We travel all over the country now to these different tracks. Yep. And we're going to Watkins Glen up in New York. Yeah, over Labor Day weekend, and we're going up to Road America, which is up in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be up in Wisconsin actually in a couple of weeks for a different reason, but that'll be for my work. Speaking of that, you're now I technically I guess a retired meteorologist. You were a meteorologist in the real world.
my background's a kind of eclectic. I'm a meteorologist by trade. I went to Penn State, and then I got into the aviation business, and weather being part of it, but selling jet fuel. And that's when I ran a company called Universal Weather and Aviation here in Houston for about 25 years. And now I'm semi-retired, and I'm doing some startups, helping some younger guys with a startup business. But my real passion is, like you said when we first started, it's the cars. And my brother said, "Why are you doing this startup? You're retired." And I said, "Well, if the startup's successful, I want to do some pro racing. I'll take the proceeds from that." And racing is a great sport. You can easily be a millionaire. You start with 3, and then next thing you know, you're a millionaire with 1.
That's right, or less, right? Yeah, a lot of people they've experienced that, going that direction. So, David, we appreciate you taking the time to zoom in with us, and for this background information on the what getting out there on the track. I guess when you get your GTD. Dana has a monthly event that she puts on that I volunteer at called the Woodlands Cars and Coffee for a Cause. Any chance we can get you to bring that GTD out and show it to everybody?
You just give me the dates, and when I get it, I will be more than happy to bring it up and take you guys for a ride.
Yeah, it's the first
fantastic.
Sunday of every month, so
Yeah.
we'll be in touch.
Well, fantastic.
Right. That's in the morning, right? That's
Yeah,
on the
6 to 10 in the morning.
It's way in the morning. You're on the other side of the world from us, so
Well, you can spend the night in the Woodlands the night before and just roll on out.
I'll get up there. I have no problem doing it.
All right, very good. Thank you so much.
It was
Again,
nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you all. Take care.
Look
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing you soon, man.
See
Be
ya.
safe.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. And that's it for this episode of Cruisin' Car Club Talk. I'm Randy Weldon. Robert Helmer's missing this episode. We've got Dana Pritchard here in the studio with us and locked up back in the safe room / sound booth as our sound engineer and producer, Dick Schischler. We are broadcasting from the studios at Lone Star Community Radio at 104.5 and 106.1 FM and streaming worldwide at irlonestar.com, on Facebook and on YouTube. If you want to go specifically to our show, it's irlonestar.com/CCCT. Dana, thank you so much. We'll see you guys next episode.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.